Hello all, this is the Owl, and today we're going to be looking at another 5 really fascinating theories about Maiden Abyss coming off both the Discord and our YouTube channel. And yes, I know some of you are pulling out your art tablets right now. Would you guys like sort of longer podcast style content? Because apparently some of you use me to draw, or do the dishes, or fall asleep. Where was I? Oh right. If you enjoy this sort of thing, I would recommend giving our previous videos on this a look. And if you have a theory of your own, or just want to chat about this stuff more, get your butt over to our Discord. Keep in mind that this is going to be an ongoing series of videos. So if you don't see yours immediately, chances are that it will come up eventually. Oh right, and a reminder that these theory videos are a bit less fancy and involved than my usual content, as these serve in a big way to buy me time for the bigger videos. And speaking of videos, there won't be one this week more than likely, as I will be streaming Diablo 4 and focusing on building that side of things a bit. So if you feel like you're missing me, or just fancy something a bit different, why not drop on by and say hi? All links are in the description and it's going to be a lot of fun. We could even chit-chat about Maiden Abyss theories, Junji Ito, anime, manga, Japan, anything you would like. We'll be back to videos next week, and that one is going to be a doozy. You'll see what I mean. With that out of the way, on with the show. Our first theory of the day comes to us courtesy of Maiden Abyss.
Only not spelled the same.
The Abyss's screwy time shenanigans flips at the point of no return. Above the sea of corpses, time moves forward, though slowing down as you get further to the point of no return. Past the sea of corpses, it works in reverse, getting faster as you descend further down. Perhaps the Shrine Maiden and other white whistles they were referring to in recent chapters is actually Rico, but during their time in the village, the Srajal party made their way ahead a bit, with Team Avatar following behind shortly after. That is an interesting way to look at it. It's been confirmed that there's something very wrong with time and the way it passes in the Abyss. And as you get lower, these effects become more intense, with whatever dilation or distortion is occurring ramping up significantly. And this might be tied into the force field somehow. But yeah, this isn't a video about my theories, so we will leave that alone for now. As for Rico being the Shrine Maiden and the time effects now being recursive, that would make a bit of sense, and might even tie into the next theory, which is a bit of a long one. So let's get right to it. And I will say though, in advance, I think this next one might well wind up being at least partially true. Our second theory comes to us from the Kitten, and let's dive on in. Okay, this will be comprised of 2 theories. The first theory will be a build-up for the second theory. First theory. There isn't much to go off of, but many people theorize that relics are souls / people that have died inside the Abyss. My favorite being that relic's rarity and grade. are based off of the dead's desire before they died. This would mean that people with more desire will be a better grade relic once they died. The deep sea lion life could be the soul of someone with the desire to live longer, or the curse warding box having the desire of wanting to save someone's life. From this, we will be going on to the next theory because that stems off of this. Second theory. I originally saw someone else make a theory on this, but I'll be making my own version since theirs was inconsistent. From all the memories and hints about Liza and Reg, most people theorize that both of them have met due to Reg's memories and Liza's notes. But due to all these hints and the fact Reg has been semi-confirmed to be a relic, I believe that Reg is actually the relic form of Liza. Because Reg has memories of the Blaze Reap's location and at Edo Front, Reg also recalls seeing another person that looks just like him. The same person looks exactly like the sketch that Liza had in her notes of a robotic boy she met. Liza becoming Reg would also make sense because Liza had such a strong desire of exploring the abyss that she didn't want to get tied down to Rico. With the strong desire to explore the abyss behind it would also mean that functions that let Reg explore the abyss freely, like extendable arms and curse immunity, would be something that Liza desired. Since Liza had the title Liza the Annihilator, it could refer to Reg's incinerator that seems to annihilate anything that it hits. Liza being Reg would explain why Reg has memories of the location of Blaze Reap, the robot in Liza's notes, and why Reg was going upwards to find his Haku, Rico, aka her daughter. I actually really like this one. Before this, I thought that Rico was going to turn out to be Liza somehow, but Reg being Liza is actually a really interesting concept, and it would certainly manage to be a twist that I did not see coming. People becoming relics is certainly possible, going off of what we've seen via the creation of White Whistles and all the various shenanigans in Iruburu. So yeah, I would say that this is yet another viable theory other than relics were made by an advanced civilization. There's definitely something here about Reg, Liza, Rico, Orzen, Faputa, and time travel, and I am genuinely curious to see how all of this shakes out in, let's say, 2058, when Tsukushi finally finishes this manga. Next one from Eula22. And be warned, this one is a touch on the dark side. When hanging around the Maiden Abyss subreddit, I posted something about this, and nobody there recognized this theory, which kind of surprised me. I call it Rico probably died hundreds of times. Rico was carried up in the vessel by Orzen after her stillbirth, and the vessel brought her back to life. What people seem to forget though is that the vessel does not protect you from the curse, despite its name. This puts a literal newborn in the first layer. I would doubt that a newborn is going to survive bleeding out of every orifice, crikey Moses, and potentially the other 3 layers could have lethal side effects to newborns as well. The logical conclusion from combining this with the popular theory of the vessel using someone else's soul to animate the body puts Rico at potentially having some claim over north of 200 souls from the 4th layer alone, assuming they were around the halfway point of the Goblets of Giants and get a dead recall every 10 meters. I have fiddled around with the idea of whether Recall could acquire these souls in some way, like how Fabuta was greeted by the souls of her siblings in the village and acquired value because of it. Also, poor Liza had to hear her baby's dying screams for who knows how long, only to open the vessel and have a bloodied, vomit-covered Recall crawl out straight towards the abyss in a way that even creeped out Orzen by her admission. I would be terrified over whether the vessel replaced her in some way. Well, bloody hell, that was a touch hard to read as a new dad. But I see what you're saying. Liza is going to come back into the story somehow, and there is very definitely something up with Rikor's soul, as Fabuta mentioned. And yes, we have had a very clear confirmation on Rikor basically being a pet cemetery zombie being inhabited by something, which I still suspect might be Liza, by the way. But who the hell knows? As with all of this stuff, I also have to wonder if it's going to turn out to be one of those situations where the fan theories are way more interesting than what actually happens. But we'll have to see. Anyways, and I apologize for my pronunciation here, the next one comes to us courtesy of Maconheira de Planteo? No idea. Keep in mind that I am the guy that pronounces this cow map, so all of you that had a chuckle at my expense last time, the compass that points to the abyss is the relic that allowed the passage of the White Whistle Wakuna to the 6th layer. When Riko tries to climb the stairs in Bondrud's arc, she talks about how she doesn't know where down is. It's probably not that simple, but I think the compass had something to do with it. But rewatching, I just noticed something else. The Cradle of Desire has a little star compass inside it. I don't know if anyone have posted it here before, or if that was pretty obvious, and I'm just slow. No, don't worry mate, this is the first time I noticed it, to be honest. But I think the compass might have a bigger role in the story. That is really odd. We'll go over the compass quite a bit more as we do our deep dives, but we have already learned that it is probably a bit like a lament configuration, in that whoever gets it tends to go full White Whistle and do really, really bad things to reach the bottom. I would love to know what's up with that. Who knows, maybe the star compass was one of the original abyssal explorers. As far as Wakuna goes, yeah, that's actually a really great theory, and we'll get into him more when we get there. Hopefully I can remember to go back to this one then, because I dig it. Anyways, our last theory of the day is, yeah, this one's also something I never considered before. From Esmara Maludora, Lady of Thorns, here's an interesting theory. What if the Abyss is actively making everyone's belief into reality, especially for those who are closest to it? Someone starts a rumor or tells a scary story. Kids hear that scary story and start telling it to other kids, causing some children to be wary and fearful and believe that it will actually happen. Enough children start believing it, and small cases start popping up. And then, as more people start believing it, the cases get worse and worse, like with the birthday sickness. I was initially rather skeptical of this one, but after a night's sleep, I'm not sure if it's the case, but I do see where you're coming from. There is a massive theme of desire, particularly in the Layer 6 arc, and it's not much of a stretch to go from desire to belief. So that would make the Abyss into a bit of a Silent Hill situation, a silent hole, if you will, basically tormenting people with their own psychologies. Again, it's a very interesting theory, and it actually reminds me of an absolutely bloody incredible and surprisingly hard to find book called House of Doors by Brian Lumley, which is a story very much along those lines with a sort of sci-fi horror bent. One interesting thing to keep in mind is that Maiden Abyss does have a pretty significant resonance with Buddhist doctrines and beliefs, and particularly in its Japanese Shinto-infused variation, the Buddhist afterlife involves a soul journeying and experiencing a great many torments, perils, and trials to shrive it of earthly desires, with said soul eventually either being reincarnated to begin this journey again, either at a higher or lower state of being, or eventually ascending to some sort of heaven or nirvana, a place of enlightenment, which, as per the very limited understanding of Buddhism I have, would be free of desire, with Buddhism viewing desire as the complete antithesis of enlightenment. In the context of the manga, it's a very interesting thought, and why don't we call it there? Next week, again, we'll likely not have a video, but we'll see. Regardless, come on over to our stream. Attendance is mandatory. Before we finish for the day, I want to give a huge thanks, as always, to my fantastic patrons: Jake Reagan, Peace to the East, Elspresso, Cheerful Satanist, Starwin Marwin, Cal Core, Jacob Ramsey, Crazy, James Bakes Bread, Wargle, Cal Core, Lance Goebel, Paul Norberger, Rafferty, Aaron Arnold, The Hedgehog Gamer, Simone, XTC Pill, B Empress, Jake, and Cheshire Quill. If you want to see more like this, why not stick around? Subscribe, bell, you know the drill. If you want to hear me say your name, get early access to most of my videos, have some fun perks on the Discord, and, you know, help Mrs. Owl, I, and Baby Owl out, and ensure that I can keep on doing what I do into 2024, why not come on over and take a look at our Patreon? If you want to chit-chat about, well, basically anything, you could always drop by our Twitch. We stream on Thursday evenings and Sunday afternoons for the most part, or our Discord. Take care, my friends, and cheers. This is the Owl, signing off.